Hello, my name is Liz Rowlinson, editor of Place in the Sun, and I'm here this morning or this afternoon, depending on our time zone, with Jerry Barker. Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Les. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Hope you are.
I am doing great, and yes, it is morning here. So I've only had my first cup of coffee, so I'm getting settled into the day.
Brilliant. Well, this is a webinar with Place in the Sun, house buying in Orlando with Jerry Barker. Orlando's the engine of the Floridian property world, and in this webinar, we're going to touch on lots of helpful elements of how to look for a holiday home, one that you can rent out in this highly lucrative area, and also looking at, how to choose the right location, how to get the right returns, what property to buy, lots of really useful tips. So Jerry, tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Orlando. How long have you been there? What's your sort of speciality?
Well, I've been in Orlando for 35 years. As you can tell, I'm not originally from the United States of America. I was born just outside of Glasgow, and I came over in 1989. I did various different things, mostly in media, photography, video, etc. And moved into real estate when I moved actually into Orlando. I lived down in South Florida, and we started up the Jerry Barker Group very specifically to help UK buyers. That's really all I did to begin with, was help people from the UK. We've diversified from then. We do help people from all over the world purchase vacation homes in Orlando. We're very specific. We're called vacation home specialists. So we are realtors. We have all the ability to obviously purchase a property, but equally as important, the vacation home hat that we wear is really the part where most people find our services most important. That's to let them know all about the business aspect of it in terms of renting the property out and the best ways to be successful for doing that. So that's kind of the general overview of who we are and what we do.
Yeah, because most people I speak to who buy in Florida, Jerry, they all tend to rent out their properties. That's kind of what most of them, I mean, running costs are, they are high enough in Florida, aren't they?
Yeah, so I think what the beauty of Orlando is, and what I find from UK buyers is people just want a place in the sun. I know that's a bit of a pun, but it's true. And their dream is to have an Orlando villa. And the short-term rental program, a lot of people, especially in America, believe it's an investment and they're going to be investing to rent and making money out of it. Whereas the UK buyers are actually very different. They have the overview of a lifestyle investment. In other words, it's something they want to really enjoy. And the short-term rental program is really a great way to pull back a lot of the costs of ownership. Not necessarily, in some cases, you can make profit depending on various different circumstances, how you set it up, et cetera, et cetera. But I believe, certainly from our UK buyers, the most important thing for them is the ability to pull back, as you say, the cost between the taxes and the insurance, the homeowners association fees. If they can claw a lot of that back by just renting it out maybe 16, 18 weeks a year, sometimes 20 weeks, they don't necessarily have to be renting it a lot. Just so it takes really the edge off the ownership, then they're delighted about that. Because I feel, as opposed to American buyers who tend to be more investment minded, UK buyers tend to be more home, villa, hours. And their concept is more to just help the short-term rental program help pay for ownership.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, we're going to have a quick little look at a very tempting custom video to give people a flavour before we dive into the nitty-gritty. there are so many beautiful houses in Orlando. Uh, how do people start? I'm thinking, oh, I like the look of that. I like the look of something else. How do I begin as a buyer to start my search, Jerry?
Well, there's lots of great ways to go about that. And I think something like this, webinars are a great place to begin. Most people are going to get excited first about looking for properties. That's how people initially get excited. They look online and they see the properties, think, oh, I can afford that, and that can work for us. We can make that work. But funnily enough, other than being excited about the property, but the house is actually one of the later things that you want to do. You really want to get yourself set up first, understand what the program is, how to go about that, and get yourself educated, because that way then you can make a good decision on the house. So it's a kind of chicken and egg. You really got to get excited about looking at great houses, but the key is really doing the preparation first. So webinars are great. YouTube is fantastic. We have a YouTube channel, for example, and it has a whole bunch of different resources in there. You can see interviews with people like property managers and insurance people, etc. We have resort tours, we have home tours. I have a whole bunch of different stuff. So, and I'm not the only one. There are several really good vacation specialists over there. So jump in and do all that research first. I think that's really important. And then it'll give you an idea of what you should buy, where you should buy, what you can afford, how it all works.
Yeah, and actually, we're going to have a look at a little, you know, COVID has really turbocharged the way that videos and tours of work, and you do some fabulous ones on your website, so that even before going you can get a tour of a property, as do your competitors as well. But we're going to take a look at a quick little video tour of, I think, Windsor Island Resort. People can see exactly where that resort is by looking at that wonderful map that you've put with all the key resorts in the Orlando area. But Jerry, can you explain, how does the this whole the Four Corners area, the short-term rental zone, can you just explain that briefly for people?
Yeah, that's probably one of the things that most people are confused about. It's a pretty big area, Southwest Orlando, and people will come to me and they'll say, "I want to buy a place in Kissimmee," and they don't want to buy a place in Kissimmee. I think I've been in Kissimmee maybe once or twice in my life. It's just an area. The actual city of Kissimmee is actually further south and east. It's more of an area. The Four Corners is where four counties come together. Lake in the top left-hand corner, Orange in the right, Osceola in the bottom right, and Polk in the bottom left. And all four of those areas are what we call the short-term rental zone, where they all meet. So you're really looking to buy in the Four Corners area, and places, really well-known places like Reunion and Champions Gate are actually two cities within the Four Corners. So it's probably one of my favorite. I do a series of videos called "I Wish Someone Had Told Me," which is a little bit of fun, but there's some really great information. I think that's probably my favorite, is the one where I explain the Four Corners, what's in them, and how that all works, so that people really get an idea of where they're purchasing. And I think that's a really important starting point, is understanding the area and where it is, and where you're purchasing a property.
And essentially, you're about half an hour from Disney in that most of that area, are you?
Yeah, there's nothing that we deal with. Everything that I have on our website and all the various resorts and the properties in there, I don't think there's anything that's any more than maybe 20 or 25 minutes from Disney. A lot of them are 10 or 15 minutes. So there isn't anything there that's outside. We call it the Disney bubble. There isn't anything outside of that bubble. So everything within the Four Corners is very close. It's just basically southwest corner of the main Disney area.
And of course, it's not just Disney. There's a continually evolving theme parks. Each year they're upgrading, getting a new attraction. I think is it Marvel, or there's new ones opening up soon. So that's why this area remains such an attraction for rentals, right?
Well, it's the short-term rental capital of the world. It's the family entertainment and destination of the world. There's 80 million people come to Orlando every year because of all of those things. And that's also the attraction as far as the rental is concerned, because you've got 80 million people looking for a place to stay. So if you do the setup and everything correct, it's really easy to tap in to that revenue. And that's what makes it attractive. Obviously, it's Florida. Obviously, it's all of those parks, and they are continuously adding more areas and themes and parks, etc. So exceptionally popular as Orlando.
Yeah, and as we saw from that video, the amenities on some of these parks, the the lazy rivers, the water parks, all that fabulous. So it's very key, though, to get the right representation when you're looking for a property in Florida, specifically Orlando. Why is that, Jerry?
Yeah, I think of those one piece of advice that I would give to any buyer buying a vacation home in Orlando is to make sure you get proper representation. It's everything. It's understanding what somebody's looking for, and not just the financial, but the personal side of it, and finding that person that can help you do that. There are a lot of, I think I read somewhere that Orlando is the second biggest city in America for realtors. That means there's a lot of people that will sell you a property, and there's a very, very small percentage of those people that are vacation home specialists that not only will help you purchase a property, but that's only half the journey. The other half of the journey is the business aspect of it, and setting it all up and doing all those great theme rooms that you see, making sure you're in the right place and understanding that. So understanding your representation, and I hear it all the time. People will come to me and they were working with somebody that just didn't know what they were doing, and it's just so important that you do that. So make sure, if there's one good piece of advice from this webinar, is make sure that you find someone that is a vacation home specialist and knows what they're doing as far as this product's concerned.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's obviously a lot of new properties being built all the time, and there's a lot of second-hand properties in this very mature market. How does, I mean, there's pros and cons to buying each, aren't there?
Yeah, we went through a real growth spurt from about 2012, 2013 up until, yeah, maybe just a year ago or so. We had, at one point, I think we had 6 or 7 brand new resorts coming out of the ground, which was fantastic. But now we're kind of down to, I think there's only one major resort, and then there's bits and pieces of other resorts that are finishing up. So there's not quite, Windsor Cay is the only main major resort that's under construction right now. It's about a third of the way through. So the options for buying new properties is definitely limited. The good news is that all of those new resorts are now maturing. So if you're buying a resale and you want something that's relatively new, only a few years old, and then you can buy a resale on the newer resorts, and we call them our featured resorts on our website. We have We've broken it down very easy for people to understand. We have featured resorts, that's the newer resorts, all built within the last probably 10 years, 12 years. And then we have the classic resorts. Those are the original resorts that came out of the ground from about 2000 to about 2005, thereabouts. Windsor Hills, which is probably one of the most popular, was the last of the classic resorts. And then you have various specialities. You have communities. A lot of people like to buy in a community, which doesn't have the resort facilities. It's just basically a housing estate that you can short-term rent, and we have a section for that. And then you'll have townhouse communities, and you'll have condo, various different condo options. A lot of the resorts actually have all three property types. Windsor Hills, as we just mentioned, is a good example of that, where you have single-family homes, as we call them in America, villas. They also have townhouses, and they also have condos. So you have three different property types. So you can have condos in a resort, you can have condos in their own specific condo resort, and then you can have condos that are called condo hotels, which are just like a hotel, but you buy a room, which is kind of interesting. And it's just all just a variation of that. And we have them all actually all split. So you can break them down, you can go see them on our website. So that's a great place to start for looking for that. But yeah, to go back to your point, new homes, exceptionally popular. People like to start with that blank canvas, design it themselves, furnish it, do it the way they want. And it's a real great experience. I've been very fortunate, and the British market was particularly strong during the initial phase of that. And I helped a lot of people buy and build new homes. And it's just a delight going through that process of furnishing it and designing theme rooms. And we do all that here. And then where our clients actually arrive for the first time, giving them the keys and walk in the door of a brand new house. It's all done with, their Mickey Mouse rooms or your Spider-Man rooms or Marvel or whatever it might be. It's just a unique, the kids come in, and it's doing the new home thing is really a life experience. And I would definitely recommend it.
Well, whether they were built in the 1990s or a few years ago, they're all a lot newer than a lot of other countries, aren't they? They are quite modern, a lot of them. So, okay, but what's the key difference between buying? You're great to answer this, because not being from an American background, what's the difference between buying in the UK versus Florida?
Well, actually, it's very personal to me right now, because I'm actually selling a home, our family home. I'm selling it back in Scotland right now. So I'm going through. I haven't sold anything in the UK for a really long time. So long ago, I don't even remember the experience. So I'm actually going through it, and it astonishes me actually how different the two scenarios are. What I will say, and it's also feedback that I get from our clients, is the US process is so much simpler and cleaner and more detailed. I'm going through the process, and I still don't know. In the UK, I still don't know if it's going to come to conclusion. They have these things called missives. I'm sure
Well,
you're.
actually, when I asked that, I realised that Scotland is quite different from England. So actually, the UK is not all the same.
Right. I hear England is actually, is it called, is it gazumped? Is this the word gazumped? Is that
Yeah, there's also very long waiting lists for conveyancing at the moment. And I was going to ask you, as a key difference, how long does a property transaction typically take in Florida?
So here's the big difference, and this is part of that, is that the contracts, you do them all usually within 24 hours. Everything is agreed with and written within 24 hours, and you have to adhere to that. So we've got the price, the date, all the costs, everything is involved in what we call an as-is contract. We write that up. That's one of the big differences between UK and the US. In the US, we have a two-agent system. So the buyer is represented by an agent and the seller is represented by the agent. And the agents actually do all the contractual work. There's no attorneys involved, which amazes people. In the US, your agent is actually, I'm legally able to write contracts and execute contracts. So you don't have an attorney involved in it. So the agents work it out, they write the contracts, clients sign it. The pre-written contracts, we really just put in dates and times, etc. They're all already approved. So it's a basic, straightforward contract. And that's usually done within 24 hours. And at that point, we're just executing the dates. So to answer your question, If it's a cash sale, anywhere between 3 and 4 weeks. If it's financing, could be as many as 6 weeks. But dates matter in contracts, and that's the thing I find most amazing about selling my home in the UK. There doesn't seem to be any kind of people just kind of go along and it closes when it closes, which just amazes me. In America, you have a date, everybody works towards that date, and there can be penalties if you don't make that date, which is great because you know then what to expect. And that's probably the biggest difference. We also do deposits here. You'll put down a deposit, and that goes also to those contracts. If you break your contract, you can lose your deposit, which is important. There's no deposits, which I also found amazing in the UK. Nobody puts any money up front. You've got no skin in the game. So, hey, if I don't want it, you just move on. Doesn't happen in the US, and that's a couple of important things. So, there's trigger points, two-agent system. We don't use attorneys, and dates matter. Contracts are very detailed, and the contracts themselves are usually concluded within 24 to 48 hours, just depending and go backwards and forwards.
Well, you flagged up one key difference there, that the fact that realtors agents are licensed, hence they do some of the paperwork themselves. They're not in the UK in that way. And the second thing was what about the MLS? People say, what's this about America? How's that different?
No, it's a great point. People ask the multiple listing service. So the difference in the UK, you go to different people to look at different properties. You don't do that in the United States of America. Here in Florida, we have got what's called the multiple listing service. So everybody that's selling a property puts it into the multiple listing service. So the listing agent representing the seller submits that to the MLS, and then all the buyer's agents. So I'm a buyer's agent. I would represent you looking for and purchasing a property. I can see everything that's available. So what that means is you don't need to have multiple agents. You just need to find one agent that you like and you trust, and let them go and find you all available properties. So you're only dealing with one agent. And a lot of UK buyers think that they need to speak to 10 different agents and be represented by 10 different agents. You don't. You just need to have the one. And an additional law that was passed in August, which is really important. And this is a big change in our system. We had probably one of the biggest changes in law and real estate ever happened in August. And it used to be that you could work with multiple agents when you were here. You could do that, but you can't do that anymore because it's now against real estate law for us to show people properties or even talk about individual properties without having a representation agreement. So, so you want to go and look and talk, and I can talk to you about resorts and the process, etc. But as soon as you say to me, well, can you go and video that property for me? Or what do you think of this one? Then we're going to need a representation agreement. So you're going to actually have to sign a representation agreement. You want to do that before you come to America, as you want to do all your research in the front end. And I think that's one of the key points is don't come here thinking that's what you're going to do when you're here. Do it all before you come here. So when you get here, you're fully prepared. You've got your agent in place. Somebody's representing you, and you have all your documents in order. And then that way, it's so much easier, so much more enjoyable as well.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to have to whiz through a few things to get through so much information here. Very interesting. You mentioned documents, Jerry. Can you briefly say what documents will people need when they're doing all this pre-prep?
Well, the first thing I think you want to get in order is your financing. Are you paying cash, or are you going to take a mortgage? It was funny. I just had last week. I had a UK client who was going to try and mortgage in the UK, and you just can't get a UK mortgage on an American property. You actually have to go through what we call foreign national financing. So you want to do that here. Any good specialist who understands the foreign national and the real estate and the short-term rental market will be able to recommend lenders who lend to international buyers. That's key. So you want to get that started if you're financing. You're also going to need a couple of other things, and you can do those also before you arrive. There's something called an ITIN number, and it's kind of like a social security number for your house. Anyone can get one. You just have to apply. They're not particularly expensive. You want to get that done and get that in order. And also maybe open a bank account. You can do that remotely, or you can do it while you're here. So I would get all of those things. I think before you come, I would figure out who's going to be your representation. get your ITIN number, and get your finance sorted. I think if you do those three basic things, I think you're in good shape. I would also obviously suggest you go through the whole process of figuring out what you want and where you want to buy, but you definitely want to get those prepped before you come.
Okay. I mentioned earlier about, remote people during COVID sort of buying remotely and things. Do people still do that? It's possible, isn't it now, to buy without visiting? Maybe not ideal, but some people do it.
Well, it's not just some people, nearly everybody. We just closed two really beautiful homes in the last month to UK buyers, and both those buyers were not here and they were never in the property.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very common now, and I think that's the benefit of going through the process, and instead of kind of figuring it out later, figuring it out first. And if we go through that process of figuring out who you are, what you want, what you're looking for, then we can actually go out and identify locations and properties, and we can do either video tours or we can do Zoom tours just like this. And I'll walk along and I just blather away like I'm doing just now, and I'll walk along and I'll talk about the property. And most people have been in Orlando before, so they got a feel for that. But it's not surprising at all. In fact, I would say the vast majority of our clients now go through the process of finding the property first. Here's one of the beautiful things about the contract that we use here. It's got an inspection contingency period in it. We have as a 15-day inspection contingency period. So you can go under contract here for a property, and you're not exposed at all, other than having your home inspection done, which is a few $100s. You can back out anytime during those 15 days. So you can go under contract, basically reserve the property. Then we can do all our diligence. We can go there. And if you want, you can then fly in and see the property before you close. So there's a lot of really good ways you can protect yourself and do it all up front. And I think if you have someone that you spend time with and they understand you and you understand them, it's not uncommon at all for clients to go ahead and go through the whole process of going under contract and then either coming in and looking at the property. Of the two UK buyers that just purchased, the first one, they actually flew in to see the property before we closed. We put a viewing contingency on it, so we had time for them to fly in and take a look at it, and then they just A-okayed it, and we were good to go. The second one actually isn't coming at all, but they're coming right before closing. They're actually going to come for close, which is actually unusual. Most people close remotely. So yeah, it's not uncommon at all now with the technologies. And again, I think it all comes down to having a really good understanding with your representation, what you're looking for. And I think if you can do that, it's a lot easier to move forward.
Sure. I mean, a lot of people have been on holiday many times before, as you say, they're not buying blind. But briefly, what if people are coming on holiday? How can they use that experience to help further their purchase experience?
Well, again, the key is don't plan on coming on holiday and looking for properties. That's not the way to do it. Do all of your homework up front, meet, talk, kind of like these conversations about where to buy, what to buy, get all your ducks in order. We've had that happen. People arrive here and we'll get a phone call and say, oh, I'm here and I'm looking for a property. They're not ready. They're not prepped. It's a lot of work they got to go through first. Not impossible, but you're making it a lot harder on yourself. So do everything up front before you come on holiday. But here's one of the key things, and here's a pro tip for everybody. If you're coming here on vacation and you're thinking of buying a vacation home, then stay in the resorts you're thinking of buying in. A lot of people need to go and stay somewhere else, but it's, again, mentioned Windsor Hills earlier on. If you're thinking of buying in Windsor Hills, then rent a place in Windsor Hills. If you come here for 2 weeks and you're thinking maybe Windsor Hills or Windsor Island, then have a week in a townhouse or a house in Windsor Island and a week in a townhouse in Windsor Hills and experience the resorts. Then we can meet you at the property, and then you can tell us what you think of the property you're staying in. And then it just gives a much better experience. So big tip, take advantage of being here if you're coming on vacation, and make a point of staying in the locations you're thinking of buying in.
Yeah, it makes sense for buying anywhere, really. You've already answered my next question, which is the fact that buyers don't physically have to be in Orlando when they close.
But
So
yeah,
they don't, do they?
No, it's called a mail away process. The only thing that I would say, and again, this is again why you want to do all this and understand this all up front, is I think the biggest not, bottleneck, I think is a good word for it, is if you're financing, then the American lender is going to want the documents notarized. And what we've found is that people think they can take it to their bank manager and have the bank manager sign it. They think that that's how you actually have to have a notary. So you have to source a notary in the UK and get that set up. And it's a lot more complicated. You can go to a FedEx office in America in any corner and notarize a document for you in 5 minutes. It's a lot harder to do that in the UK is to find a notary. So other than that, that's really the only thing that we recommend that you make sure you get done in time. The rest of it's really easy. They email you the documents, you sign them, you put them in a FedEx, you send them back to the title company who handles all the closing documents. And you can do it all remotely. You don't have to be here for the close at all. We do the final walk. So we go to the home the day before you close, and I'll walk around and check, make sure nobody's put their foot through the TV or the place is burned down. You know, it's never happened, but we do it anyway. We do what's called a final walk, and we can be there with a video. We can do a Zoom with you as well. So we handle all that on your behalf.
Okay, great. We've still got to talk about the rental side of things, and we've got to kind of keep an eye on the time. But just briefly, you can buy furnished homes, can't you? You can or buy furniture packages.
Yeah, so nearly every vacation home that's sold is sold as is, and they're generally always furnished. They're usually in rental programs. So what I would suggest if you're buying a resale, usually if people are selling it, they haven't spent a lot of money on it over the previous couple of years. So you really want to maybe put a little budget aside to freshen it up, sprinkle a little fairy dust on it, as we say. But yes, they're all going to come furnished. Generally, I think 99% of a vacation homes that are sold furnished. And if you're buying new, then we would talk to one of our special designers. That's what they do. They design vacation homes. You get to meet them and you get to build that whole program. And that's kind of one of the fun things that new homes allow you to do is start from scratch. But yeah, the furniture is not an issue. We'll take care of that.
Great. There's a little video to have a look about on that as well.
We are standing outside a 6-bedroom Fiji floor planned 1546 Moon Valley Drive. This is a resale property that's up for sale here in Championsgate. And we're going to take a walk around it today. I'm going to show you and point out all the various things you want to look for when you're buying a resale. I'll tell you some great things that we can do to improve the property, what's great about it, what needs fixed, the various condition, and also pick out this great floor plan and show you the pros and cons of this fabulous house. So a really good education if you're looking to buy a top flight vacation home here in the Orlando area. We are going to dive into this great Fiji floor plan and give you a look. So let's go ahead and let's step inside. This is a resale and it's up for sale just now, and we have some people interested in this property. So I was down in the resort and I thought maybe I'll stop by and take a quick look and do a quick video so we can spread it around. And that's good for everybody, because if you're interested in a 6-bed and a Fiji in Championsgate, then it's always really nice to see the condition, the layout, the floor plan, etc, etc. So I'll walk you through it. It is a 6-bedroom, and downstairs you have the one good sized guest bedroom. This is a king size bed in this particular unit. Nicely furnished overall. I really like the condition of this property. It is original carpets, but the carpet's actually in really good shape. I know that's always hard to tell from a video, but overall the house has actually been maintained really well. Flat screen TVs, I like they're mounted in the walls. You'll have the cables hanging everywhere. I could maybe make them a little bit bigger, but to be quite honest, people don't watch a lot of TV when they're on vacation anyway, so that will suffice. Again, nicely appointed, good sized bedroom. What you'll find with the closets in vacation homes, like you see in this one right here, the closets are never going to be very big. That's one of the secrets that the builders found out when they started building these vacation homes in the resorts. You don't need an awful lot of space when you're only here for a week or a couple of weeks. So they're able to convert those larger walk-in closets into more floor space or entertainment space, games rooms, etc., social areas. And that's what they have done. This particular unit has an ensuite. It has the double vanities. And then nicely, pocket door here, slides closed so you can get the privacy in there, and it's got a shower and the water closet. This is an interesting finish on this unit. This particular property sits almost in exactly the halfway line between phase 1 and phase 2. And for those not familiar with the phases in Champions Gate, the first phase were all terracottas and earth tones. In the second phase, they went into these whites and greys. And a lot of these tiles, for example, that you're seeing on the floor just now, this is kind of a halfway house. A lot of the more recent ones have a more kind of grey tone in the second phase. So it's kind of interesting. They're actually quite unique. Utility room on the first floor, washer and dryer right in here. And that takes you into the garage. Garage conversions, of course. This one hasn't been converted, but it has been turned into a games room. We've got the epoxy on the floor, which is nice touch, and pool table, foosball. And that's about it. I think we could do an awful lot more in here, and it probably wouldn't be particularly expensive. You really want to run a curtain across this to cover it up. And you could also cover up the water heater. In fact, I actually saw someone, and when I tell you this, you're going to laugh because it makes complete sense. But they took this water unit and painted it white and blue and turned it into R2-D2, so it looked like a giant R2-D2 in the corner. And that probably didn't take very much to do, which I thought was a really, really clever idea. On this wall, I'd probably suggest a couple of video screens and a couple of game consoles, just to beef it up. But again, that's all cosmetic stuff. That's actually really easy. Pool table, maybe another game in here. But you don't need very much in a games room, just really something for the kids to enjoy. This one doesn't have an AC unit in it. It costs you about $4,000 if you wanted to put an air conditioning unit into the garage. A lot of people do that. It's called a mini split. If you're looking for the name for it, it's called a mini split, and it's a little AC unit that goes on the wall. Owner's locker on the right hand side. So if you own this lovely property, you can keep your flip-flops and all your good stuff in there, so when you come visiting. Into the main floor area, dining room, and the large social area. Again, in really good shape. It's been well maintained. Management company have done a good job. It doesn't have a lot of scuffs. Usually one of the things that I look for when I walk into a resale, especially in the staircase around this area, because you have so many people coming up and down the stairs. You know, they've got their rucksacks and their suitcases, whereas once a week or a couple of times every month, and you start to see the wear and tear in this one. It's very clean, so that means we've got good maintenance and it's been well looked after. Overall, this house is in really good condition. I'll probably put it in maybe the top 20 percentile for a resale of this age. One of the nice things about the Fiji, again, you have this really nice open floor plan where you can have the associate area, and then you have the kitchen right off of that, and you have a dining table in the centre. So most people gather around the kitchen, so if you're over here in this beautiful kitchen, you can either sit at the breakfast bar, enjoy your breakfast, and of course, if mum and dad are cooking here in the kitchen, you've got a direct line of sight right out of the pool area, which is really important. So that's one of the nice things about the layout of this property. A lot of people don't use this area for a table because it has an additional bonus room, which is one of the things I love about this floor plan right over here. And as you can see, they've put a dining table in here, but it probably never gets used because between the breakfast bar right here and then the dining table there, which I think is the way to go, it really frees up this room here. And I have seen this room been turned into some really great stuff. I've seen it been turned into a games room. I've been seen it turned into a movie theatre. You can put a pool table in here. You can do an awful lot with this room, and it's really a wasted space. What I would do is I'd take a whole bunch of board games and attach them to the wall, velcro them to the wall, and I'd put some shelves right along here with all the pieces. So you've got all these really cool glass containers with all the pieces for your Monopoly or whatever, and then you just basically pull off the game that you want and have a table over here. You can sit and play it and then just put it back up on the wall when you've done. We did that in a couple of our vacation homes. It looks absolutely fantastic. If you check out our place in Windsor Island, you'll see the room that I did with that on, with a huge Scrabble board. That would look absolutely fantastic in this room right here. So there's a little hint for you. You could do something really special. And what that really does is it really helps your ROI, because people love that, kids love it, and they're looking for additional entertainment for the family. So let's head upstairs. All right, as we come up to the top, upstairs has the 4 bedrooms. And again, just looking at the carpet, it's in really good shape. You can probably see it a little bit better. It's always hard in video to tell about carpets. But in this particular house, doesn't need to get changed out, and that's usually one of the things in a house of this age you're probably looking at. We'll move to the right-hand side first, and I'll kind of go around to my right. You've got the one bathroom out here in the hallway. It actually has a bath in it and a single vanity. And what that really is for this area, which is your upstairs social area. And again, real nice. You can put a movie theatre in here, a games room, so you've got a lot of really nice space. Kids can be up here playing games or watching a movie while the adults are downstairs, or vice versa. Nice large, it's not the master's actually in the front, but a nice large king size. Good size TV. Oh, they've let me down with the cables in this one. I like to see the cables tucked behind and read and fed down. It's so easy to do. And just as a really nice touch, but again, it's just a little thing. Ensuite on this particular unit, I'll let the light adjust so you can actually see the colours a little bit better. The one vanity, and it's a walk-in shower. Again, overall, maintenance is good. Usually I can tell when I walk in these properties, I just look for the grout, etc., and see what's been done and what's been left. And overall, as I'm looking at this, another great property in good shape. Other thing I like to look at is the tops. These really should be glassed. It's about $900 to $1,200 to get the whole house glassed, all the tables, all the tops, especially with these side tables. People just throw keys down and they get chipped, etc. One of the things that we recommend highly is to have that done when you buy a place, or if you take it over, make sure you get it glassed. Again, every tabletop should be glassed because people and kids throwing stuff down. This is nice. Again, needs a little beefing up. I think this is one room that you could really do something to and make it really special and stand out. And special and stand out is what gets you those extra bookings, brings in the extra revenue, better rate, better occupancy, all that good stuff. But it's in good shape. I mean, it's nice the way it is. It's just, it's very simple, straightforward. And again, you could do something really great in this room. Checking out the bedrooms. Not a lot of themed rooms in these units. There's a queen size in here. It's a decent size room. Again, flat screen TV. This bedroom doesn't have an ensuite, so it's actually using the hall bathroom, which is the one that we looked at when we first came up the stairs on the left-hand side over there. And that will double as the social bathroom and the bathroom for that particular bedroom we just came from. And then we move into what I'd classify as what the 2 rooms that I'd probably theme would be these next to. They're the Jack and Jill bathroom in between them. And these would be great bedrooms to do if you're going to do a Minecraft room or a Disney room or whatever it is you want to do. Star Wars room, they're very popular. Again, this is a queen size in here, but it does hold it, it's fine. Cables hang. Now you're starting. Now you're looking. Every time you see a TV, you're looking for cables hanging down, right? Yeah, it's just one of my pet peeves. It's so easy to fix that. And hey, it's the small things that make a difference. Jack and Jill. So what's a Jack and Jill? Jack and Jill is when a bathroom connects to bedrooms. In this case, these 2 kids' rooms, double vanities. Again, the pocket door allows you to have a separate water closet and shower. That takes us nicely into the theme room, which is let me guess what the theme of this one is. Well, I've actually got cars over here, so you get a little bit of a double theme going on. You've got the Disney theme, which is pretty cool. And you've got a single and a double, so you'll see that better. Let me move over towards the door. Yep, good news, no cables hanging out the TV. There's your double bed, and there's your single. That gives you a kind of rough idea of the room size in here. Pretty nice. Swinging along, and then we'll go into the end of the hall here, and this is going to be the master, the upstairs. This is a really, really big room. So you've got a sitting area. Again, nice. I mean, you wouldn't have to do anything to it. It's in good shape. Yep, don't mention the cables. Overall nice. Carpet's in really good shape. Everything's in good condition. There's nothing here that you need to throw out. But again, you could probably beef this up a little bit. I think maybe a little colour, a little artwork or something in here just to make it pop a little. And then the master bathroom, it is a pocket door. Pocket doors are great for vacation homes because they save a lot of space. And then nicely tiled. And you've got your sunken tub. Big shower behind that. Separate water closet. Separate towel closet. Double vanities. Everything done in this really pretty stone. And then a really nice big walk-in shower as well. So, and there's your water closet. And again, you got this sunken bath and shower combination. So now we'll go and see what everybody wants to see, of course, and that is the pool area. It's a beautiful, sunny summer Florida day here, Central Florida, here on Moon Valley. This is a south-facing rear, so you're going to get the sun on here all the year long. And again, a beautiful blue sky day. Has a screen, of course, that keeps the bugs, etc. out in the evening, so you can sit out here. Nice large sun area, as you can see, and it's probably 98 degrees out here right now. If it were me, I'd probably put a little shrub on the side, or maybe just some Florida screens just to add a little privacy to the sides, but it's not a particularly big deal. It's not as if there's whole bunches of people going crazy out here, but if you do like privacy, then maybe just a little, you can see the shrubs along the back here. I'd probably do the same on the sides, or you can do Florida glass, which is a little opaque at the bottom there, just to give it a little privacy. No big deal, but maybe just a little improvement. It'll certainly help with the photographs, and a lot of people like to see that. But you've got this really nice privacy wall behind, so you get nothing behind you. There's decent space over there, so the kids can go out there, kick a ball around, play a little something, throw a ball around, kick a ball around, all that good stuff. One of the nice things about this model is it does have that cabana bathroom, so it does have its own bathroom that's attached, so you don't even have to leave the pool area if someone needs to use the bathroom. Nice big deep lanai. That's important because in the Florida sun, you don't want the kids out there baking all the time. So being able to, again, as you can see, this is mid-afternoon right now. It's 1:30 in the afternoon, so it doesn't get any higher or any warmer than this. And you can see this is a lovely shaded area back in here. It's not getting any sun at all, so kids can come and take a break, or not just the kids, the adults as well can come and take a break in the lanai, getting away from that boiling hot Florida sun. We have the fence. I've left the fence up. They must put that in. That is part of the Florida laws, safety for kids. You can take these down. As you can see, I just popped them out from the center here. You can pull them out if you want to take them out and take them down, but when you get into the house, this will be fenced all the way across. As you can see, I've just left up in this side, and that's for child protection. Again, if you want to pop them off and roll them up and give yourself a big open pool area, that is cool. You're able to do that. Hot tub, very popular, although I'm not sure why people want a hot tub when it's 98 degrees outside. It's probably cooler in a hot tub than it is outside, but you can fire this up and keep it bubbling. And there is the back of this beautiful home. And that's it. That is your tour of my very favorite 6-bedroom house. This is a Fiji. Lots of them available in Champions Gate, and you can also find it up there in Story Lake. So for this property or any other property here in the Orlando area, please reach out to us. We're happy to find the perfect vacation home for you and your family. Thanks again for watching.
So moving on to the rental side, having a property management company when you're the other side of the Atlantic is critical, isn't it? And especially, have to say, in these last month or so, when there've been hurricanes, that's another reason. So tell us about, how does that work?
Yeah, you're going to need a property manager because obviously you're not going to fly in and out every time that somebody stays in your property. Property managers are two things. The property managers, and that means looking after the home, fixing light bulbs, checking the AC system, all that good stuff. That's the management of the home, cleaning it, getting it ready, prepping it in, prepping it out, security, all that kind of stuff. But they're also property marketers, and the property management company is also going to help source guests for you, and that's a big part of what they do. So choosing a property management company it has its own set of rules. And I'm a great believer. People will ask me, can you recommend a property management company? And I'll say, really, you want to figure out where you want to buy and what you want to buy first, because some property management companies are better in some locations than they are in others. And it's also a personality thing. So I like to try and get to know my clients first, find out who they are and what they're looking for, and then suggest maybe you should talk to this one and this one, and go from there. A lot of the times the properties are already with a property management company, and there's literally hundreds of property management companies in Orlando. So go in there, see what I'll go and check it out. You can tell right away if a property management company is good, if it's clean, it's been looked after, bookings, etc., etc. So yes, I think property management is probably one of, if not the most important aspects of the ownership part of the cycle. So it's a big deal. And I've actually got a video on my YouTube channel of an interview with one of the property management companies where I ask all the questions that you should ask them. If you want to look that up, it's Florida Vacation Homes and the Jerry Barker channel. A gentleman called Joe Rothis, and he answers I ask him all the hard questions. So if you want to know about property management and how all that works, then go check out that video.
Yeah, we could almost have a whole webinar on each of these questions, to be honest, which is quite tricky to touch on everything. But again, briefly, revenue and occupancy. Very briefly, you know, how much is really, you touched on, you know, I think you said about 12 weeks or something that people might need to cover their costs. But what can you just give a brief overview of? I mean, I think 40 to 48 weeks is possible for some properties.
Yeah, it's really how you want to set it up. That's really we have a page interactive calculator on our website where you can go on there, and I've got a video that explains how it all works. You can punch all the numbers in, and you can figure out you know, how many weeks and how much revenue you're going to get depending on different things. And I believe, I mean, you're correct. I mean, you could, if you wanted to rent it out for £10 a night, you could rent it every night. So it really comes down to finding that balance of your rate and your occupancy and what you want to do with the property. And I think that's the point that a lot of people maybe just don't get, is you're the one that decides how much revenue you want to try and get from your property by how you set it up. And what we usually find is 50% occupancy is a great number. You're getting the high rate clients at that point. And, you know, Orlando's like everywhere else. There's going to be a holiday season, a high peak season, an off season. And usually, if you want to fill in those after you get by 28, 30 weeks, then you're going into off season, which means discounting. And a lot of people are, is it worth it? Because you still have to pay for the cleans and the power and everything that goes with it. And it's kind of point of diminishing returns. So that is really finding out, you know, what's the most efficient for this program and this property with this property manager. So it's a little bit of a trying to figure out all those pieces. And again, that's where a great consultant will be able to sit down and say, what are you trying to achieve? What are your goals? And then we can try and reverse engineer into finding the right program that works for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, being upfront with exactly what you want to or need to achieve from that property. Okay, we're going to include a link to this wonderful calculator you mentioned on the recording. So yeah, I touched on earlier, you know, 2 hurricanes in the last month or so. That has been a concern for some people, but I know Orlando has been less affected. Just tell us briefly what your response to that is.
Yeah, hurricanes. Since I started the Jerry Barker Group in 2009, we've had 3 hurricanes come through Orlando. So that's about one every 5 years if you're averaging it out. We've actually, 2 of them have been actually in the last 3 years. So it's been a little busier than normal. And we're really, really lucky here because in the center of the state, we don't get storm surge. And that's the big term that people have to bear in mind. Storm surge happens in the coast where the water basically from the oceans gets pushed up into the land and, you know, floods properties. And that's the great damage point. When it comes to Orlando, you don't get the storm surge, and it breaks down once it goes over land. So we tend just to get a lot of wind and rain. I've got a quick funny story is Ian 2 years ago, I decided I was going to do a web a video blog on a hurricane. So I was out there doing the whole thing, and I was down there the next day, and it was really disappointing. With a few blown out screen cages in the pool areas, a few trees blown over. But it's a good thing because nothing actually happened. But it was a bad thing because it was a very uninteresting blog. I was expecting some kind of cool to be, show people exactly how a hurricane. But I guess that worked out in that respect, that there was really nothing to see. And of the 3 hurricanes that came through, there was nothing to see. And in fact, it's interesting because Orlando became Lifeboat Orlando, because all the people on the coast that didn't have a place to stay or they were evacuating actually came to all the vacation homes in Orlando. So all the people who own vacation homes got all these, and they might be there for quite a long time because a lot of homes get badly damaged over on the coast. So people ask me, should I buy in Orlando or I should buy over on the coast? And I say, well, what I would do if it was me, I would buy in Orlando. And if I wanted to go on the coast, I'd go and rent a place over on the coast. If I want to go over there and stay for a couple of weeks and then rent my place out in Orlando to cover that. So you're really just paying for it. The safety of Orlando and the benefits of Orlando, and then do the rentals over the beach. That's what I would do if I was trying to make a decision on Florida.
Sure. But I mean, insurance is obviously a key factor in any homeowner's costs they need to consider. And I do know that because of the climate and these risks, that, home insurance is well, it's gone up everywhere, but it is a cost, not an inconsiderable cost.
It is. It's one of the larger expenses, but it's a bit of a misconception because insurance prices have gone up, but property values have also gone up considerably. And of course, insurance is directly related to that. If they're having to cover an $800,000 property as opposed to a $100,000 property, it's going to cost you more. And properties have gone up quite a lot over the last 4 years. So insurance premiums have gone up along with property costs. Yes, there has been, as I mentioned, a couple of hurricanes more than normal, and those do raise. So policies have gone up. But the good news is the home prices have gone up considerably more than the policies have gone up. So it's a net gain.
Sure. And just on the subject of costs, before we're running out of time, homeowner associations, just briefly, what to be aware of?
No, they're important, and they're a good thing. I'll have people reach out to me and they'll say, I would like to buy a place with low homeowners association fees. And I'll say, well, why would you want to do that? Because I'll save money. You don't actually save money, you lose money, strange as that may be. Homeowners associations do all those great things like provide security, and all the resorts have 24-hour guarded security, beautifully manicured lawns, great clubhouses, as you mentioned earlier, lazy rivers, swimming pools. Those have all got to be cleaned and maintained. And so all of that comes under the cost of the homeowners association. And guess what? People want that, and they're willing to pay more for a place that is secure, a place that is clean and tidy, looks good, that has all those amenities. So they'll pay more on the rentals. So you may pay a little more in homeowners association fees, but you'll actually gain more in rental revenue. So it's actually a net gain. Good homeowners associations are really important. And that's something that you want to look for, is a good homeowners association, not a bad one. And cheap numbers usually say bad homeowners association. So it's actually in reverse. It's
the old adage, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, I think somebody once said to me, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And it's very much homeowners associations.
So we've got to bring it to a close. But one tip that you would offer a new owner, Jerry, you've given quite a lot of tips in this webinar, but something else I'm sure you've got up your sleeve?
The thing that I think I try to really push to new owners as a small thing, but I think it's a really important thing, is AC servicing. So important. And I find people, they purchase over the property and then they forget all about the maintenance. And one of the main things you want to do is make sure your AC system runs correctly. And especially with UK buyers, because generally you don't have an AC system in homes in the UK.
Yeah, air conditioning. We really don't know about air conditioning, Jerry.
Cold air, yeah. What basically happens is it's taking the air out of the moisture out of the air, and it runs it through the system. But what that causes is a lot of water in the AC. And if you're not cleaning the filters or you're not cleaning the lines, it builds up and it creates basically a sludge, a biological sludge in there. If it's not getting washed out, it can block up, and eventually it'll overflow. And what that does is it makes the system very inefficient. So if the place is not cooling as well, it's costing you more money because it's inefficient. And then eventually, if it floods and goes over, you end up with mold and water coming through in different places. See it so often. Write that down on your little list. If I buy a place in Florida, I'm going to make sure I get AC serviced twice a year. Make sure the property, stay on your property management company. There's one thing you want to do is stay on top of them. Say, have you changed the filters? Have you had the AC service? It will save you so much pain in the long run. Because let me tell you, if you've ever been to Florida and you're in the middle of the summer and you're in a house and the AC stops working, you're moving. So you're going to lose a rental. You're going to lose revenue if it stops working while there's somebody there. So big tip, seems like a small thing, but you will thank me for it. Write it down in big capital letters. Make sure the AC is well serviced when I become an owner.
Well, I'm sure there's lots of little tips there that people can thank you for after this webinar. But thank you, Jerry. If people like the sound of this, they want to get in touch, how do they do that?
You can reach out to us directly, jerrybarker.com. Really easy to find. I have everything. We've built a designer website really for information. And there's a ton of information on there on everything, in the resorts, the locations, the homes, everything that we've talked about and lots more go there. I designed it and built it all myself. I have a book. You can download it. In fact, I have a copy right here, the Orlando Vacation Home Buyer's Guide. It's free. You can go onto the website and download a PDF copy of it, or if you want to come over here, I'll give you a personal copy. And when you get here, read that. Great information on there. We also have a YouTube channel with, I think I've got like 600 or 700 videos on there of homes and locations and interviews. Fantastic resource. Or you can give us a call at 407-286-8170. And we can get you started in the process and the program and what we call our roadmap, and get you your homework so that you're prepared to buy a vacation home here. And we have the most educated buyers of anyone. So you'll know everything that's going on long before you own a property. And that means usually a successful ownership and a successful investment.
Well, you have certainly lots of fabulous resources, I can say that. So thank you very much, and hopefully see you at one of our exhibitions soon as well.
One in London next year. At the moment, we're intending coming over, so we'll be over there in London.
Maybe meet you there. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, well, enjoy the election tomorrow. Thank you very much, Jerry. Thank you. Hope that was useful. Bye-bye.
Very good. Bye-bye.